Hello and welcome to Ag PhD. I'm Brian Hefty.
I'm Darren Hefty. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about weed control in soybeans, and the best way to keep some of these tough resistant weeds out is really never to see them emerge from the ground. They're much easier to control that way. We're going to talk about adding residuals to your post-emerge plan.
We also want to discuss something you may not be doing on your farm today, but it's something that absolutely could help you increase your yields and help you figure out how to best invest your fertility dollars. We'll talk about plant tissue analysis on today's show.
We've got a weed of the week that, boy, I really used to dislike this weed when I was a kid. Fortunately, it's a little easier to control today. We'll give you a few ideas how to stop it. But we'll start this show off with our farm basics.
Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
A lot of times on the farm, people get comfortable with what they've done in the past. For example, a lot of farmers for years have sprayed 2,4-D in their pastures, maybe along the fence lines, in the ditches, that type of thing. And what we're going to suggest today in our Farm Basics time is switch out of the old 2,4-D and into the new.
Well, there is a new 2,4-D out there, and it was developed for the 2,4-D tolerant crops, so the enlist crops. They're using a product called Enlist 1 or Enlist Duo, where it's in combination with glyphosate. In pastures and rangeland, those types of areas, there's a product called Freelex that has the new 2,4-D choline in it, and it's dramatically different in terms of off-target movement.
We can tell you this firsthand because at the Ag PhD Field Day for the last 3 years now, we've gotten to use some Freelex. Well, at the Ag PhD Field Day, it's a relatively small area. We're on about 35 acres with a wide variety of crops. And as you may imagine, we are super concerned about crop sensitivity. We don't want to have anything looking bad. And so we've been using this Freelex to control weeds in the grass strips in between a lot of the different plots. We've had no movement at all. Now, old 2,4-D, like 2,4-D amine or 2,4-D ester, major issues in the past. In fact, I got to the point where I just told our guys in the farm, you can't spray anything on our field day site that contains any 2,4-D. Well, since we started testing this Freelex, we have just been so happy. No volatility, really no drift to speak of, no off-target movement to speak of. It's been amazing.
Well, it is a big change because we're used to using amine and ester formulations of 2,4-D, and it's, to me, almost a shame that 2,4-D choline even has to be called 2,4-D because it just looks different out there in the field. Now, in terms of weed killing power, it's the same, but that off-target movement's big. So hopefully I've gotten you a little bit excited that, maybe I should try this new product. Okay, the downside of it is it does cost just a little bit more than 2,4-D. Now, you're probably bracing yourself, oh no, it's gonna be 10 times higher. No, it's just a couple of bucks an acre different. Now, if you say, well, I only have a few acres I need to spray it on, great. Then it's really no big deal for you at all. Now, if you're saying I got lots and lots of acres to get over, is it worth the $2? I tell you what, for peace of mind, for me, it sure is.
Well, yeah, if you're in an area that has any sensitive crops around, absolutely we'd be recommending this new Freelex. Otherwise, if you own all the ground around, it's all pasture ground, there's zero chance of off-target movement, sure, go with the older 2,4-Ds, that'll save you just a little bit of money.
There are also going to be some premixes out there, like grassland comes to mind, where you've got Tordon out there to kill leafy spurge and to get down into the root system a little bit where 2,4-D isn't going to move. You've got Freelex in there and you've got Tordon. Wow, what a great combination. It's going to replace the old version of Grazon, P+D, that kind of product. And so we're going to see a lot of that used across the country.
So as a farmer, I have killed my mom's flowers, I've dropped leaves off trees, I've killed off-target plants, all with old 2,4-D. I am so excited to tell you, you don't have to use old 2,4-D anymore. There is new 2,4-D choline, and that is absolutely the way we suggest most people go for spraying pastures around your farmyard, anything like that.
Fortunately, in pastures and rangelands, we normally don't have to fight our weed of the week. We'll show you how to stop it in your crop ground coming up later in the show.
Leading the charge in strip tillage for more than a decade, the Soil Warrior brings the future to your farm today.
Are you looking for an easy way to apply dry powdered products to your stored grain? Do you want to use the applicator recommended by industry leaders for products like Diacon D and other dry powder products? Changing Time CT applicators successfully apply a diversity of products quickly, easily, and accurately. The innovative CT applicators are designed to give you the most accurate application of products such as talc, inoculants, fertilizers, and other dry products. For commercial use or on the farm, you need the applicator industry leaders are using. CT applicators for the changing times.
The Guardian Air Twin Spray Nozzle from Hypro produces a twin spray pattern with air inducted droplets for superior coverage, even in dense canopies. Be effective and efficient with your spray application this season with the Guardian Air Twin. Hypro, helping you spray better.
If you're looking to expand your farm's grain handling, you want everything to be fast and efficient. The Quick Belt from Norwood Sales is your all-around grain handling solution. Our conveyor-based system uses an 18-inch belt and a 10-inch tube, which minimizes seed damage while moving more than 10,000 bushels an hour. That's fast enough to fill a semi in 6 minutes. Plus, our hood is designed to gently direct the flow of grain straight down, keeping your crop in condition. Keep your grain and your farm moving with the Quick Belt from Norwood Sales.
I know a lot of people that have them, and I don't know anybody that doesn't like their Morton building.
The crew was really, in my book, top-notch.
The quality of this building is second to none, and they make sure before you walk away that you're happy.
This is my dream barn. I think it ended up looking even better than I thought it would.
People love it. When they get in here, they're just in awe.
Morton Buildings, for work, for life, for generations.
About 12 to 15 years ago, Darren and I were at the point where we were a little frustrated with our crop. There was one year in particular where we were out there and, we're looking at the corn and it's all kind of rolled up and we think, boy, we're doing a good job fertility-wise. And somebody suggested to us, you guys need to try some plant tissue analysis. So the next year, we went out there and pulled tissue samples every single week in corn. And what we found is every single week we were excessive on nitrogen, we were completely deficient on potassium, boron, and zinc. Week after week after week.
So we had that fertility program just dialed right in, didn't we?
It just told us, oh my goodness, you guys are so dumb. So the point is, that very next year what we decided to do is, okay, I think now we have at least some kind of answer. Let's take some of our nitrogen dollars, put them into potassium, boron, and zinc, and what do you think magically happened with yields? Didn't have to spend any more money, but all of a sudden yields went up. That's exactly what we're looking for.
All right, so obviously on Ag PhD, we're not the smartest guys in the world. We'll tell you when we make mistakes, and we're happy to do so because we don't want you to make the same mistakes. But when we find something that works, we're pretty excited to talk about it too. Plant tissue analysis is one of those things. Now we do a radio show each weekday, and we've probably gotten more thank you calls about plant tissue analysis than just about anything else we've talked about from farmers saying, wow, I started doing this on my farm and it really brought to light some of the mistakes that I was making or opportunities that I had with my fertility program.
Okay, so we want to talk today about the benefits of tissue analysis, but here is, in my opinion, the biggest drawback. Nobody has an exact formula for, all right, what exactly do I need in terms of every single nutrient in that plant at every single stage? Now, there are some people that have been doing work on this around the country, but even they don't know every last answer to this. Here's where I'm going with this. If you ask the lab, well, what's high or what's deficient? In most cases, all they're going to be able to do is tell you, well, here's the average of all the samples that have ever been sent in. And just ask yourself, well, who sends samples in? It's usually people that have problems, right? Okay, the other thing is when they say, all right, this level is sufficient. Well, is that sufficient for 200 bushel corn? Is it sufficient for 300 bushel corn? They don't know, you don't know, I don't know. So this is one of the things over, I would say, the next 10 years that there's going to be a lot of work done, and hopefully we'll eventually get that figured out.
Well, that's fine, Brian, but we still have to have some data to be able to make some management decisions on our farms. And you can track your own farm over the years and say, oh, I was at this percentage at this stage last year. Now this year, I'm a little bit better.
Yeah, but that doesn't really tell you, Darren, because let's say you've got 15 nutrients that you're monitoring. Which one of those is a yield limiting factor? In other words, there's only one that I need to bump. Only one at every single stage. Okay, which one is it? That's what you're not going to be able to answer. That's going to take lots of people, lots of time to figure
All right,
out.
so are you talking us out of this, Brian?
No, it's exactly what I was going to make my next comment on. When you hear that, you say, oh, it doesn't sound like I should use tissue analysis. Yes, you should, because now at least you do have some kind of baseline as to what's going on. And when you do get some results back from the lab and they show you deficient, okay, there's a pretty good chance when they're saying deficient, that actually means you're really deficient.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do is compare field to field and also areas within a field. So you pick a real high yielding spot. So maybe you've got a field that runs 220 bushel, but you got one spot that goes 280 every year. Well, let's find out what's great in that 280. Compare it to either the average part of your field or the worst part of your field and see, oh, over here I've got way more calcium in and here I'm short. And then you can start looking at your soil samples and saying, well, yeah, I am a little bit short in calcium there. That's my yield limiting factor. Let's boost that up.
So here's exactly what I would like you to do. Take your worst area of one field, your best area of the same field, and an average area of that field. And you've got 3 spots now to go out there, and I do it every single week, all growing season long. Pick a day and a time and repeat that day and time every single week. So for us, that's Monday morning, 8 a.m. We're going to this same field. We're going to pull those 3 spots. And here's the whole thing. You can use this for doing some foliar feeding during the season. But in addition to that, use it for tweaking your fertility program going into next year. I can almost guarantee you, if you're pulling soil tests from those exact 3 spots before and after the season, and you're pulling plant tissue analysis from those exact 3 spots all during the season, by the time you get to the end of the year, you're going to have a really good idea why the great area is so good, why the bad area is so bad, and then maybe what you need to do to change the overall average to get it to be much better.
Okay, so hopefully you've heard all the good things there from the cynical side here. Now I want to give you the downside, and that's cost and time. And you say, oh man, it's going to take a lot of time, it's going to cost me a lot of money. It costs roughly $20 per sample you send in for tissue tests. So if you had 3 of them you're sending in, it's about $60. So it's really not that bad a cost. The other thing is make sure you're asking for a complete analysis so you get micronutrients in the whole works. And then time. Well, it's going to take you 5 minutes to pull a plant tissue test. So if you're doing 3 of them, well, that's 15 minutes a week.
It might take you a little bit more when the plant is really small, and if there's some dirt that gets splashed up onto the leaves, you will need to wash that dirt off with distilled water.
Okay, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Yes. Still, it's no big time thing, but now you've got data, because otherwise you do something to your field with fertility, you wait till harvest, you say, well, I was hoping for 220 and I averaged 230, that was a good decision, or I only averaged 210, it was a bad decision. No, you really don't know. It really depends on the year, but if you have plant tissue analysis, you can see, oh, I put on potassium, it got into my plant,
well, hey,
that was a good thing.
That's the thing. The other thing that you can use this for is if, let's say in another field, you want to split the field and you do some foliar feeding, or you do some extra stuff in furrow, or somehow applied fertility to the soil. Now you can test that and see, hey, did that get into the plant versus the untreated or not? If the tissue levels are greater as you go through the season, obviously that fertility got in, and obviously it was probably worth the money.
You can go to our website, agphd.com, find more information on pulling plant tissue analysis in a variety of different crops. You can also go to your soils lab in your area. We use Midwest Labs. You can go to midwestlabs.com and look up information on various crops, what leaves you pull at each stage, so you get the samples done correctly.
Well, tissue sampling is an important thing on, really, in our opinion, every farm, or it should be important. Another thing that's important is scouting your fields for weeds like our Weed of the Week. Can you identify this week's weed?
Introducing the SoilMax ZD48, the newest addition to the SoilMax Gold Digger lineup. The first plow designed for smaller class tractors, the ZD48 has been tested on tractors weighing between 10,000 and 16,000 pounds with excellent results. Designed for row crop farms, vineyards, irrigation, and specialty crop farms. The SoilMax ZD48 will install tile up to 48 inches deep, as well as install 3 or 4-inch tile. The ZD48 truly opens up the world of tile installation to more farms than ever before.
Let's take a look at our picks for the championship season. We've got 10-34-0.
No. I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk about this Agro Liquid team. Take a look at this lineup. They got it all. The talent, their players can meet any challenge on any field. The coaching staff, the best I've seen.
So that's your pick? No discussions?
Nope. Agro Liquid is the team. They're going all the way to the championship.
Unlock your nutrient investment with QuickRoots technology. It contains 2 powerful microbes that can help free nutrients bound in your soil, which can improve access to key nutrients for healthy crops, N, P, and K. Applying QuickRoots technology to seed can lead to improved root and shoot growth, increased yield potential, and maximized nutrient investment. See how you can make your fertilizer dollar go further at monsantobioag.com/QuickRoots.
In life, when you put the max in, you get the max out. It's no different for your corn, which is why 40 years of effort have gone into proving that Instinct and N-Serve nitrogen stabilizers do more than just stabilize nitrogen, they maximize nitrogen, so your corn gives you the max in return.
Take a look inside any rotary combine, and you'll find single rotor technology. Technology Case IH introduced over 35 years ago with the axial flow combine. But unless it gives you more bells and whistles with fewer belts and chains, more power using less fuel, it's not an axial flow. Because while the heart of every rotary combine beats red, only Case IH gives you the power to do more.
When it comes to weed control in soybeans, one of the biggest changes that's happened over the last, half a dozen years or so has been the great big increase in the amount of post-emerge residual herbicides being used.
The #1 chemical family used for early post-residual in soybeans now is actually the group 15s. Here's my problem with it. That's also the #1 chemical family used in corn. So if you're going to use it in corn, you're going to use it again in soybeans. I just get a little worried about it. But nevertheless, this is a relatively inexpensive mode of action that you can pick. Group 15s are going to include Outlook, Zidua, Warrant. There are many different choices here. The main thing to understand is they don't give you any contact activity, only residual control.
And don't forget, Brian, there are combinations with some contact activity in there, like the Anthem products, like Anthem Flex.
All right, so Darren brings up a good point here. There are a lot of post-emerge combinations you can use, and that gets very confusing. So we've got an app for you, the Ag PhD Mode of Action app. You can look up any of these different products. What he mentioned there was Anthem. Okay, that's got a group 15, but it also has a PPO, and the PPO in there is Cadet. Now there's another PPO you could use post-emerge, FlexStar. Both of those have contact and residual activity, so that'd be another thing that you can add in there. Pretty inexpensive, fairly effective on many of the different resistant weeds, including Palmer pigweed and water hemp.
All right, let's talk about other products here too, because we've really mentioned the main products getting used for residual, but what about Extend? What about using that dicamba out there? There's so much talk about, well, hey, when that enlist trait comes in soybeans, you're going to be able to spray S240 and it'll have a little bit of residual. Well, wait a second, dicamba is going to have a lot more residual. The real fact is neither one of them has a whole lot of residual. So don't be counting on, well, I am spraying Extend, so I should be good the rest of the season. No, you're probably good for a week or two or until you get an inch of rain. That's about all the residual you're going to have. And I'm not trying to downgrade the product. It just is what it is. Dicamba's been out for 50 years. We know how much residual we're going to get.
Right, so really the only two classes you have here for early post-residual in soybeans are the PPOs, Cadet and FlexStar, and then the Group 15s. And yes, there are a bunch of combinations that contain all these things. We're not going to run through all the different combinations today, but those are the two different modes of action. The key thing here is make sure you're spraying very early. If you spray late, you got two problems. Number one, you don't have the best activity because yes, the PPOs, FlexStar and Cadet have a little bit of burn down, but they're not that great when the weed gets tall. The Group 15s have no contact activity. And then the second issue that we've got is if, let's say that Group 15, or even for that matter, the FlexStar Cadet, if that all lands on top of plants, it doesn't do you a lot of good in terms of residual. You want residual, so you want it to land on the ground and get rained in.
If you still have soybeans to plant on your farm, this is no substitute for using the 3 Pre's. You've got to use the 3 Pre's. The residual is so much better, the weed control is so much better than any of these residual products that you're putting on post. The challenge is we're putting on such low rates, they're really not going to last that long. We're just trying to get an extra kick after a good pre-emerge program. So yes, you can use these products. Please, if you're still planting soybeans, get the pre-emerge herbicides out there first. that's going to be the best for you in terms of yield and performance in the field.
The main reason why we're talking about this today is there are so many people out there fighting resistant weeds, and they say, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Well, here's the #1 program. You start with those 3 pre's. Then our topic today was layer that with some more post-emerge residuals. Use a Group 15 and a PPO. So that's PPO is either FlexStar Cadet, one of the Group 15s like Dual, Zidua, Warrant, one of those types of products, or any of the combinations that contain the 2.
Well, you're certainly going to want to have soil residual products out there in your soybean fields if you've got our Weed of the Week. We'll show you which products work best coming up next.
The Weed of the Week is brought to you by Dow AgroSciences. Finish the fight against tough weeds with the Enlist Weed Control System.
Weeds are tough, but we're tougher. With unrivaled weed control, reduced drift, and near zero volatility. So, who's tough now?
Weed of the Week is Eastern Black Nightshade.
This used to be the toughest weed on our farm, Brian, next to Canada thistle probably, but wow, it would pop up late in the season. It seemed like even when we had crop canopy in our soybean fields, there'd be some of these Eastern Black Nightshade popping through.
Yeah, and the big problem wasn't necessarily yield loss, it was more, it could end up plugging up the combine. It could be a real problem, especially for seed production as well.
So back in those days, I remember when Pursuit Plus came out, when you could put it down as a pre, you had Pursuit in there and Prowl. Guys would say, man, I want to do that. But then we realized, wow, Pursuit post-emerge was so much better on a lot of other weeds that, well, we could do it. The problem is with Black Nightshade, it gets so many growing points on it that controlling it pre, I think, is even a better way to go. You can do it with a lower rate usually than you can post.
Yeah, what we found is even a half rate of Pursuit was very, very effective on Black Nightshade.
Soil applied.
Yep, soil applied. Post-emerge, though, you can only kill Black Nightshade up to about 3 inches tall with Pursuit. Otherwise, FlexStar will get it just a little bit bigger.
In corn, we really never had a problem with Black Nightshade. The pre's didn't have a huge amount of activity, but when you look at these combination pre's like a Verdict, for example, wow, you're gonna smoke any Black Nightshade that's out there. Then you follow up post-emerge with one of the HPPD products, especially if you're using it in a combination where it's an HPPD plus atrazine or plus dicamba. That would be my favorite mix. Otherwise, status is really, really good, especially if the Black Nightshade gets a little size to it.
All right, in wheat, I'd start with Sharpen, follow it with Husky post-emerge.
That's all the time we have for our Weed of the Week Black Nightshade, but Iron Talk is coming up next.
Introducing the SoilMax ZD48, the newest addition to the SoilMax Gold Digger lineup. The first plow designed for smaller class tractors, the ZD48 has been tested on tractors weighing between 10,000 and 16,000 pounds with excellent results. Designed for row crop farms, vineyards, irrigation, and specialty crop farms. The SoilMax ZD48 will install tile up to 48 inches deep, as well as install 3 or 4-inch tile. The ZD48 truly opens up the world of tile installation to more farms than ever before.
And how about the big man, Pro Germinator?
Yeah, this guy's got some experience in the field. But look at his stats. You can't argue with those kind of results.
You're right. I know a lot of teams wishing their phosphorus player had those kind of numbers.
Right, but this guy's not just phosphorus. He's got the nitrogen, the potassium, the microbes. All those just add up to his phosphorus game.
And his game is good.
Unlock your nutrient investment with QuickRoots technology. It contains two powerful microbes that can help free nutrients bound in your soil, which can improve access to key nutrients for healthy crops, N, P, and K. Applying Quick Roots technology to seed can lead to improved root and shoot growth, increased yield potential, and maximized nutrient investment. See how you can make your fertilizer dollar go further at monsantobioag.com/quickroots.
I know a lot of people that have them, and I don't know anybody that doesn't like their Morton building.
The crew was really, in my book, top-notch.
The quality of this building is second to none, and they make sure before you walk away that you're happy.
This is my dream barn. I think it ended up looking even better than I thought it would.
People love it. When they get in here, they're just in awe.
Morton Buildings, for work, for life, for generations.
Iron Talk is brought to you by Case IH.
Take a look inside any rotary combine, and you'll find single rotor technology. Technology Case IH introduced over 35 years ago with the axial flow combine. But unless it gives you more bells and whistles with fewer belts and chains, more power using less fuel, it's not an axial flow. Because while the heart of every rotary combine beats red, only Case IH gives you the power to do more.
Don't take more food than you can eat. Did your parents ever say that to you growing up? Well, the same lesson applies to spraying your crops. I'll explain in today's Iron Talk. Have you ever been forced to quit spraying due to impending rain or strong wind? Of course you have, and you really don't want to end up with a spray tank that's half full and sitting around for a couple of days. Hence the don't take more than you can eat lesson. The obvious solution is to watch the weather very closely before you fill the spray tank to begin with. However, we live in a real world and things happen. Here's what to watch out for and some steps that will help work it all out. Watch out for products settling out. This is especially true if there's more than one product in the tank or if one or more of the products was in a dry form to begin with. Leaving any product in the tank also puts you at risk of contamination from previous products that were in a poly tank. There is pore space that could hold the remnants of something that you've sprayed before, like Roundup, dicamba, or any other product. Another watch out is for the deactivation or neutralizing of the products you've mixed up in the spray tank. For example, Basagran and Post can be sprayed together, but the longer they're in the same spray tank, the less the weed-killing activity you see from the Post. Spray solution pH can work against you too, as is the case with some of the sulfonylurea products like Accent Q. If you get caught in a situation where the spray tank remains partly full overnight or for a few days, here are some possible solutions. One would be adding ice to the spray tank. Cooling the water could slow down degradation. Putting the sprayer inside or at least under some shade can help keep it cool as well, helping you avoid any photodegradation from sun exposure. Agitation can be used to keep products in suspension that may otherwise settle out. Also, closing the valve that allows product to enter your spray boom can keep the settling out of your boom completely. Adding more active ingredient to the solution may be necessary with some products, but be sure to follow label directions to avoid crop injury and other issues. Also, be sure to clean out the tank very well to avoid contamination issues. If product will sit for an extended period of time in the spray tank, you maybe had to pump it into a holding tank to free up your sprayer and avoid future problems trying to get the product out. That's all for today's Iron Talk, and now back to the show.
Well, that's our time for today, but if you're looking for more agronomic information, we invite you to tune in to the Ag PhD radio show. We're on Sirius XM channel 147 at 2 p.m. Central each weekday.
And don't miss the next Ag PhD TV show. We'll have another Weed of the Week, Farm Basics, Iron Talk, and a whole lot more. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for watching Ag PhD.